So a crazy situation has been unfolding in the NATO country of Romania. Let's go ahead and put this up on the screen. Obviously, hugely relevant for us because of their NATO status, but also because of the role of misinformation, which was used as justification by Romania's top court to annul the first round of the presidential vote. So let me just read you a little bit of this so I make sure I have the specifics right here. It says a top Romanian court on Friday annulled the first round of the country's presidential election days after allegations emerged that Russia ran a coordinated online campaign, what does that sound familiar to promote the far-right outsider who won the first round. The Constitutional Court's unprecedented decision, which is final, came after the president declassified intelligence on Wednesday that alleged Russia had organized thousands of social media accounts to promote Colin Georgescu across platforms such as TikTok and Telegram. The court, without naming Georgescu, said that one of the 13 candidates in the November 24th first round had improperly received preferential treatment on social media, distorting the outcome of the vote. Georgescu denounced the verdict as an officialized coup and an attack on democracy, as did the second-place finisher, reformist Elena Lasconi of the center-right Save Romania Union Party. So obviously, Saagar raised a lot of alarms among close watchers here because the contours of the allegations are very similar to the Russiagate allegations back in 2016 of this, coordinated Russian influence campaign. The current president released these intelligence reports that indicated, and didn't even come to the conclusion that these TikTok accounts and whatever had changed the election result, didn't even directly reach the conclusion, just sort of alleged and hinted in that direction, that it was Russia that had created these accounts and was running them and, conducting this malign influence campaign. And then they use this as justification to completely annul the results of this election. Also worth noting here, so, the politics of this guy, Georgescu, are not my politics, he's a far-right politician. He was the only candidate that was sort of aggressively against Romania's support for Ukrainian military aid and, was sort of adversarial vis-a-vis NATO, was more kind of pro-Russian aligned in terms of his rhetoric. And this is a big deal because Romania has been an important military partner in that region. And there's a huge NATO base that is being planned for Romania as well. So this was a problem not just for, the people who are currently in power in Romania. It was also a problem for us and our other NATO allies because it signaled potentially, Romania could be going in a different direction and not be a reliable NATO ally and, the seat of this giant military base that's being planned.
Yeah, this is just classic NATO diplomacy, right? Where NATO itself is more important than the literal will of the Romanian people. Also, maybe it's a good reason as to why former Soviet republics should not be in NATO, right? Because maybe they have complicated feelings and populations, and if you have a restricted number of countries that have more of a unified message and goal, then it's a little bit easier to defend.
I feel bad for these countries.
I do
too. They just end up being used like our pawns and Russia's pawns in the region and caught in this tug of war between Europe and between Russia. I mean, it's the same dynamic that played out in Ukraine as well.
And actually in Romania, in Hungary, and all these other Slovenia, countries like that, they have long histories of both. So making them choose is ridiculous. It should be up to their own democratic populations.
And if they want to be unaligned also.
Fine, yeah, go for it, exactly. Look, Romania is a proud people, proud country with a long history, very interesting place. And it's not right that they're basically having this Western style coup, which is effectively what this is, by canceling the election where within their own system, this man won. And again, it's funny, when you read the press, like the Financial Times, let's put this up there on the screen, the absolute vast majority of this thing is just, Romania's Western partners are worried about a key ally turning towards Moscow, as Bucharest is a NATO and an EU member that has so far supported Western efforts to back Ukraine in its defense against Russian aggression. And here's the thing, Georgescu did not deny, or he denied saying that he wants to take Ukraine or Romania out of the U.S. military alliance. And he said, quote, he wants to renegotiate the terms of its membership. Okay, so what? Donald Trump has said stuff like that too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And yet, he wins, what is it, 22%? No, sorry. The largest share of the vote was won by the center-left party, followed by the nationalists at 18%.
Well, so he won the first presidential voting round. This article is about the parliamentary elections where the centrist parties, mainstream parties, did well enough, even though there were huge gains by the nationalist far-right groups. But they did well enough that it looks like they'll be able to form a sort of, mainstream party governing coalition. So all of the NATO types were breathing a big sigh of relief about this result. But now the first round of the presidential vote has been annulled. They're probably going to redo the vote sometime in the spring, and we'll see what happens there. But, this would be like if in the U.S. in 2016, after there was Russian influence in our campaign, which we all know. We run multi-billion-dollar campaigns here. Like the idea that the weird memes that they were putting out on Facebook was determined as preposterous. But anyway, if that had been used to actually overturn the election, or imagine this time, because Twitter is, run by Elon Musk, who put $250 million into Donald Trump's campaign, if that was used to overturn the results of this election. And you can see how this could be used in both directions, right? Because then in 2020, they could have said, hey, the censoring of the Hunter Biden laptop story, that renders this election illegitimate, and it should be overturned. And so you can see how, this would be the road to hell and the road to completely, just disregarding the will of the people. And, to my knowledge, in spite of our State Department's rhetoric about how much they are committed to democracy, blah, 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 I don't think that they've objected to any of these doings in Romania.
Why would they, right? This is the project. This is what they actually want. Put the next one up there on the screen, because it's interesting where they point out how the long history with Romania and their own struggles and all of that are exactly what this quote unquote resurrects dark memories of. So in their bid to save democracy, they are recalling their own dictatorial past, which they probably want to get away from. Exactly by expressing it through their democratic process. So if it's a democratic will of the people to elect somebody who wants to end aid to Ukraine, then so be it. And the funny thing is, this may seem like fringe issues and stuff to us because Ukraine is just one of a number of things. But if you're Romania, it's actually a big deal, right?
Yeah.
It's like not only you're in NATO, this is a country which you're very close to. You've got some of your population who can probably recall some of the USSR times and others and their own dark history as well. And so you're overturning this election basically based upon the will of the European Union and of NATO. I cannot think of a better example to justify so much of the European far-right hatred, which is now basically pan-European at this point, of exactly these institutions, which claim to act in the name of democracy and are obviously committed to anything but.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And the last thing I mentioned, this base, I just wanted to give you some of the details because I do think this is very significant to understanding the geopolitical dynamics here. This is from another article. That military base in southeast Romania on the Black Sea coast will become the largest NATO military base in all of Europe, will surpass the U.S. military base in Ramstein, is that how you say that, Germany, in size. The new base will give Romania an increased role in NATO's security architecture, a position of greater strength in the Black Sea, which is militarily dominated by Russia, will be able to host 10,000 soldiers and civilians by 2030. So that's why we have such an interest in what is going on in this election, and also because of Romania already being an important ally in terms of our position in the Ukrainian war. But I mean, obviously the hypocrisy is clear, and it's very troubling. And so the first controversial decision was the outgoing president deciding to release these intelligence reports, which fueled all of this speculation and concern about Russian meddling in their politics. And then following on the heels of that was this top court in an unappealable decision using those intelligence reports as the basis for annulling the presidential election results. So there you go.
There you go.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.